I went and saw Ant-Man twice this week. I saw it once Thursday, and then I saw it again Saturday. The first time I saw it, I was kind of disappointed. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed watching the movie. You know, I thought it was funny, but there was just something about it that I was just disappointed in, and I finally realized what it was. Is I went to the movie full on expecting something on the lines of Captain America, Winter Soldier, or Guardians of the Galaxy, or Age of Ultron, which those are actually some of my favorite MCU movies. So that's what I was kind of expecting, which sucks because the entire time I've been talking about Ant-Man to people. One of my big things is that it's not going to be Winter Soldier, it's not going to be Age of Ultron. It's going to be just a fun movie. It's not trying to be those movies. And subconsciously, I went in fully expecting what I told other people not to expect. So that was my fault. But the second time I went to go see it, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It was fun. It was lighthearted. It was just a fun movie. Paul Rudd and Michael Douglas as Hank Pym and Paul Rudd as Scott Lang, worked great together. I loved seeing them on screen and playing off each other. I thought they did a great job. I also thought they did a great job with their characters. They were very believable. Scott Lang was hysterical. Michael Douglas as Hank Pym was, I don't want to say he was Hank Pym, because one, I don't really know Hank Pym from the comics that well, and two, he was Michael Douglas. He was Michael Douglas reading lines, but he did it really well, and I like that. The organizing of the ants into an army, I thought was probably one of the coolest parts of the movie. It was a very enjoyable movie. I loved it. I thought it was great. But it wasn't, Winter Soldier or Guardians of the Galaxy or Age of Ultron. There were no, big plot twists. There was no, fancy script writing. It was very basic. And I know basic kind of sounds like an insult, and I don't mean it as that. I mean, it was just a simply written script. It was just a simple story. There was no big twists or dark foreboding things. It was just a fun movie. And not every movie, especially not every movie in the MCU, has to be Captain America Winter Soldier. Captain America Soldier was amazing. But that kind of movie wouldn't have worked for the kind of movie that Ant-Man was. It wasn't trying to be anything but just a fun, enjoyable movie. And that's what it was. There were a few small things that I didn't really love. Most of which are things that I kind of wish they'd added. One, I would have loved to see more engineering from Scott Lang, because in the beginning of the movie he establishes that he has a master's in electrical engineering. I would have liked to see more from that. There are times that you see him tinkering with the Ant-Man suit, but you don't really know what he's doing or how his changes are going to affect the suit. I would have liked to see more from that. Also with Hank Pym, I would have liked to see more science stuff. I would have liked to, more explanations on the Pym particle and how the suit works. I would have liked to get more from that, instead of just the brief explanations that they gave and then just going on. Everyone is loving the villain, and, their comments are, oh, Marvel can write a villain. I've never had problems with the Marvel villains. I thought they were fine. This villain was, as well, I thought this villain was fine, but everyone's loving him. I don't know what it is about him that's so much better than the other villains, but hey, if you love it, you love it. That's great. My one big complaint, I have those other few complaints, but I don't feel like not having them took anything away from the movie. I just feel like that would have added a little more to it. But the one thing that I think they could have done without was the romance angle. It's something that they just kind of threw in for a gag, and I feel like that's literally the only reason it was there, was just for a gag. I don't feel it was necessary. I don't feel it added anything to the movie. I feel like the movie met their love quota with the father-daughter relationships they had with Scott Lang and his daughter Cassie, and Hank Pym and his daughter Hope. I thought those were fine. It didn't need to have that romance angle because it already had the lovey-dovey family stuff. Now, this movie is an MCU movie, which everyone knows MCU is my favorite thing in the world, so I'm so glad I get to talk about it now. It does set up some things to happen in Phase 3. I know Kevin Feige and a lot of people at Marvel are saying, oh no, Ant-Man is really the end of Phase 2. No, it's not. Ant-Man is the beginning of Phase 3. Kevin Feige saying that Ant-Man is the end of Phase 2 is like George Lucas saying Greedo shot first. It sets up a lot of things. In the very beginning, we actually got to see S.H.I.E.L.D. in its heyday, building the Triskelion. We got to see Peggy Carter and Howard Stark working for S.H.I.E.L.D., talking with Hank Pym. It was just one scene, but it was still a really good scene. Haley Atwell came back as Peggy Carter, and we had John Slattery, aka Roger Sterling from Mad Men, who played Howard Stark in the small screen time of Iron Man 2 in the video that Tony was watching. He came back and reprised his role as Howard Stark, which played a great job. I was excited to see him back. I was surprised to see him back because I wasn't expecting it. And it also sets up something to possibly happen in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3. The Hydra is involved near the end, and like the comment on Hydra is it's Hydra, it's not what they used to be, but they're doing interesting stuff, which totally sets up Ward's Hydra, which we saw him kind of starting at the end of Season 2. So now, Ward's Hydra has knockoff Hank Pym particles. So it might be interesting to see that. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3 already has a huge thing on their hands with the new Inhumans that are going to start popping up. So throwing in the Pym particles or the knockoff Pym particles could be really interesting. There is also the setup for Civil War, mostly just bringing Ant-Man into that world, bringing him, like, you know, I guess making the other Avengers, or at least a couple of Avengers, knowledgeable of him. Does have after credit scene which sets up more Civil War stuff. There's two. One in the middle and one in the end. One kind of sets up stuff about the Wasp, which I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. And then the final one is an absolute setup for Civil War, and I have no idea what the scene meant. I have no idea what they were talking about. If you saw it and you saw the end credit scene and you have any idea what they're talking about, please explain it to me. I have no idea what the scene meant, but I was very excited to see it. But it is a setup for Civil War. I imagine it's a setup for Civil War since that's the next movie in the MCU. A big YouTube shout out to Anna Akana, who she was in the movie. I had no idea she was there, so I was really surprised to see her there. She did a great job in her role. Check her out on her own YouTube channel, Anna Akana. She's a great YouTuber, so a big shout out to her. I thought that was really cool to have a YouTuber in the MCU, in the Ant-Man movie. So that was really cool. Remember, if you leave any comment on this or any other video in July, you enter for a chance to win this Mad Moxie Funko figure from the Borderlands franchise. What did you think of Ant-Man? Let me know in the comments. Follow me on all the internets. Like the video, share it around, and subscribe to my channel so we can geek out some more. Thanks for watching. So Captain America, Thor, Hulk.